Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this podcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure tonight. Happy Saturday, February 1st. Who would have thought January could have gone by so fast? And look at this, Disclosure is still happening, things are moving on, and guess what? Yes, Mocha, the world has not ended yet, but Mocha's here already saying this. She's not approving, but anyway, welcome everybody. Great to have everybody here on this wonderful Saturday. Welcome to all of our friends in the UK and across the pond. Yes, this is your night where you get Disclosure Tonight live. How about that? Where you're not staying up until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, whenever it could be. Oh, Mocha, I get down like a good girl. How about that? Maybe 2 o'clock or 3. Oh, thank you, Mocha. Oh, you're happy. Good girl. On that note, let's go ahead and strike up the drums. Oh, which Mocha doesn't approve. She wants cookies. She wants more cookies. On that note, let me go ahead and figure out who in the heck we have out there in our audience. Let's take a look and see. All right, who do we have in our audience? We've got Andy W. Ann Marie's here along with Anton Ghost. Aubrey McCullough popped in along with Azrael Aries. I see Bully Cruise News, Kathy Spire, Craig Smith, and Dana H. Well, we've got Dana Ryder. Good to see you, Dana. Diva Kim, Eric Roth, and the Gurus is here as always. We've got Firefly Free Paul Damon. When did you get locked up, my friend? Did you get locked up by somebody? I hope not. You're a nice guy. Let's go ahead and welcome in Firefly, Free Paul Damon, of course. Freezer Man 71 is here as always. Geraldine's here along with Giant Arc Sephora. We've got Ginger and Gizmo and Joker Mojo. Who else we have out there? We have Juliana and Justin and Kane and Kathy. More importantly, we've got Kelly Brote and those piercing blue eyes. Good to see as always, Kelly. I see King Bull. We've got Ladybug in our audience and Mr. Lit and Martime. Who else we have out there? Mr. Grimlock. Moon Pies here along with Mr. Joey B. We've got Neil Morgan, Night Shade Giggle. I think you're new. Welcome, my friend. Great to have you here. Such a great audience member. Who else we have out there? We've got Paul Johnson, Paul Pulley. Almost got me on that one. Renan is here along with Peggy and her South Florida friends. Big hugs and kisses for you, Peggy, Steve, and Crockett and Tubbs. Good to see you back again. We've got Renan, Sam, Sandy V. Stash is here along with Steve Leap. The Super Unknown is here along with Terrence Bruce. Well, we've got the Chromosome Cowboy. I finally followed you on Twitter, my friend. Also out there, we've got the Life of Honky Tonk. Tom Clark. Tristan is around along with Truth Seeker. The Corn 405 just popped in along with two midgets on a horse. Interesting name. We've got Vern Dude, Warrior Class USA, and Yankee 58. How about that? But my friends, it's not just about the people in the chat. It's also about our friends in the back. And let's take a look and see. Fix this here and turn the volume down here. Perfect. So I can keep my volumes up where I want it and then bring this down so it's not too loud. Okay, perfectly. Who do we have in the back? Let's go ahead and take a look and see who our panelists in the back. Remember, if you want to join the panel, you have a question, something you want to say, go ahead and follow that link at the top of the chat and come right in. Who do we have in the back? Let's welcome in Alice W. How you doing, Alice? Coming to us in a great state of Florida.
Hi, Thomas. Weather's been a lot better here, so I'm happy about that. And I'm looking forward to a great show.
Thank you very much. Same here. I can't wait as well. You know, we finally got our first snowstorm here. A little bit, more of a flurry. A little bit of snow stuck around last night. Had a nice, actually, good little snow shower, whatever you want to call it, came down today for a while. It's like 36 degrees, so nothing's sticking on the roads. Yeah. Thank God. All right. Also in the back, we've got our dear friend Andy W. coming to us all the way from Bristol, United Kingdom. How's it going, Andy?
Hey, Thomas. Yeah, not bad. I'm here letting my hair down today with my little, I shall zoom my camera down, my little psychic Lucky Bear.
Nice.
Joining us tonight. There he is. Yeah.
Nice,
He'll be
nice,
here for
nice.
about 2 minutes, and he'll decide to get up and go back out.
Great to have it there. Now, thank you for coming in today all the way from the United Kingdom, Andy. It's always great to have you here. Now, Daryl, are you from Ohio, I think? No, Indiana. You're a Hoosier.
Yeah, I live in Indiana. Yep.
Yeah. Welcome.
90 miles east of your old hometown, or old town, Chicago.
Old state? Absolutely. They didn't live in Chicago. I was in the western suburbs back a long time ago. But yeah, fun days to say. Oh, and you got
my sidekick.
You've got your sidekick.
Oh.
I don't know. My sidekick's upstairs chasing Mocha right now because she's going into heat again. So great to have you here, Daryl. Now put our sights on the south, all the way down in Texas. We've got deep in the heart of Texas, Ed Brown. How's it going, Ed?
Well, I'm with you tonight, and I'm doing real well. It's 70 degrees here, so I've got you doubled in terms of temperature. I may even beat Alice. I don't know, but I kind of feel sorry for you people that don't have snow. If we want it, we just tune on the Weather Channel and we check out up in Washington, see what's doing up there.
You know, they've had more snow in Louisiana this year down by the ocean than we've had up here in Washington State, so I can't complain.
Well, it's avoided us, at least for this last week or so. It's beautiful. Clear skies, time to go out and look for UFOs.
Perfect time, my friend. Absolutely. Now, coming to us from the state of Wisconsin, let's welcome in a remote viewing targeter, Laura Campbell. How's it going, Laura?
It's going good today. Really relaxed. Having a nice Saturday afternoon.
Nice Saturday for you?
Saturday, yeah. My poor cat, she's pretty miserable right now. She's doing the old cone head.
Oh, she's got the cone of shame.
Yeah, she's licking too much.
Well, that's okay. She'll get used to it. Well, thank you for coming in, my dear lady. If we've set our sights on the United Kingdom, we've got another friend, Lord McCormick, who just got out of the hospital. How you doing, Lord?
Hey, guys, it's good to be back with you. Had a bit of a scare, but I'm on the mend, and it's really good to be back with you.
Absolutely glad it wasn't anything serious. Well, it's serious, but not too serious.
Yeah, it takes a lot to knock me down, brother.
Oh, yes, it does, my friend. Absolutely. It's probably harder to knock down your souffle than it is to knock you down.
Well, I'll tell you one thing about British hospital food is so bad, I've dropped about 20 pounds. So on that front, it's all good.
Well, great to hear, my friend. Were you, great to hear that you're back. Thank you again for coming in. Also in the back, we've got another friend coming in from the great state of Ohio. Let's welcome in Matt Ramone. How you doing, Matt?
Hey, Thomas. How's it going, buddy?
See. Could be better, could be worse. We'll see how long my back starts, if I can hang out in the show today without my back yelling at me. But, yeah, great to have you here.
Thanks.
Right, putting our sights on the north, let's welcome in Michael Sokoloff coming in from Canada. How's it going, Michael?
Going good, Thomas. Going good.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for coming out.
Lots of snow up here if you need some.
Oh, yeah, send some to Seattle. We'd love to have it. I'd love to have it.
Yeah, unfortunately, there might be a tariff on it, though.
Sounds good, my friend. Also in the back, we've got someone I've never asked where he's from, but let's find out. Sergeant Daniel, USMC. Can we ask where you're from, my friend?
Yeah, we're just from Massachusetts.
Oh, that's right. You're Matt. What'd you call it again?
Masshole.
You're a masshole, yes. I love it, Sergeant Daniel. And our last friend in the back, we've got TVT, and I've forgotten where you're from. I'm sorry, my friend.
Yep. Never shared that. I'm living in Florida now, so.
Cool. Oh, that would explain the picture.
In the Sunshine State. So.
That would explain the picture behind you on the couch.
Yes, that's Key West right there.
Palm trees, beautiful. Beautiful area. Absolutely. Great to have you around, TVT, and that puts our sights squarely back on New York. Wow, that's a little loud, but he is a bit loud. Let's go ahead and welcome in our dear friend, Mike Disclosure. How's it going, Mike?
Oh, it's going well, and I'm only loud when necessary, Thomas. We're going to have a great international Saturday show, and we have a lot to cover, and it's going to be very interesting. I think the audience will appreciate the insight and inside information that we're going to bring forward.
Yeah. Now, to follow up on our survey we had last night, where 78% of our audience, we had over 200 votes coming on that one, came out and said that disclosure has not happened. While a majority of our people in the back said yes, it did happen. Mike and I had a conversation to where it clearly sounds like it didn't happen. Now, jumping into the definitive, AI platform, ChatGPT, I figured, let's ask ChatGPT. What does it say that actually disclosure means? Let me go ahead and bring this up if I can, Mike. Let me get document. Guest, here we go. What is the definition of disclosure? Let's be clear on it so we're all on the same page. Don't do that to me. You're going to do that to me, aren't you? I'm trying to make it larger so our audience can see it. You're going to screw with me, aren't you? All right, here we go. Disclosure refers to the act of making information known or public, especially information that was previously private, confidential, or unknown. The term is commonly used in legal, financial, medical, and business contexts. Make sense so far, Mike?
That's the perfect definition of it so far,
Right.
Thomas.
Getting down to the brass tacks and asking it, so yes or no, has it happened? Meaning, has disclosure happened, right?
Right.
And I think this says it probably the best. No, full UFO disclosure has not happened yet. However, there has been a partial disclosure with governments, especially the U.S., acknowledging UAPs, declassifying some reports, and holding congressional meetings. While this represents significant progress, much remains classified, and definitive proof of extraterrestrial involvement has not been officially confirmed. I think that says it all, Mike.
I think that nicely wraps up the points that you and I were making last night on this subject. You're right.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, it
Black
is.
and white.
It couldn't be any more clearer to me. Now, going over to a schmuck on Twitter by the name of Thomas L. Fessler. I did a reply to a post today, but I think this one kind of hits it exactly kind of where we're at. The public needs facts. More importantly, evidence to make a decision. Without it, we're stuck with reasonable doubt. I know we're looking at this like this is a court case, but truly this is a court case in public opinion. And if you take all the people on Twitter who are divided, people who are who believe it's happening, people who don't believe it's happening, and saying it's all fake and stuff, we're already kind of in it, balls deep at this point. However, the general public has been hearing things around the fringe, and if disclosure needs to get there, Mike, it's not just me or you or the people on our panel, the people in our audience. It's the general public.
Oh, it absolutely is the.
Uh-oh. Mike? Did my audio just kick out completely? Well, no. Is there anyone else in the back? Can someone else say something?
We can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you, yeah. I think Mike's dropped.
Yeah, Mike is in a no cell zone, it sounds like right now. Mike, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Now we got you.
Yeah. No, what I said is you're right. The general public is key because they don't follow this topic. They are usually not aware of it. And if there isn't sufficient evidence to establish that there are NHI here amongst us, then there's no true disclosure as far as the public at large is concerned.
Right. Exactly. Basically, we need full disclosure, or we need disclosure in a way that brings out facts and evidence to sway public opinion. Getting someone up there to talk and having other people coming up and saying, look, this guy really knows what he's good. He, giving vouching for a person's credibility. While that's a good kind of a base foundation to go from, we all need a bit more evidence. Well, we need evidence, period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because right now, with all of the anecdotal stories, all the speculation,
right,
all the claims that have been made, there hasn't been one actual shred of concrete evidence to establish or back up any of those claims so far to date.
Yeah. It's just
that's the problem.
Right. We do have some interesting things coming out from SKYWATCHER in our little pivot to that. As everybody knows, they've got funding from billionaires at this point to go out and search and use their psionic abilities to go ahead and call in UFOs. Now, we have seen some evidence from them. One is a picture of something that looks like a blurry dot in the sky, possibly an egg. And the other ones, they're basically showing videos of objects that are in high orbit, nothing that's coming in close. So they're getting going, they're getting started. But yeah, we need to have... Okay, we've got explanatory, Unitarian. Let me get into here. What's he saying? I'm in the vid call chat. I have some UFO photos of my phone from a psionics contact if you're interested to show. If you can send those links to the email of Thomas@disclosuretonight.com, we can go ahead and bring those up and show them during the show. Sounds interesting, Mike.
It's very interesting. Let him send it through. We'll absolutely put it up as breaking UFO news.
Yeah, but I don't see anyone in the back chat who is that name. So, oh, he has physical copies there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let him send it through. And if it's there, we'll look at it.
Yeah, and something we can get to, my friend. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get to this main story today. We're talking about SKYWATCHER. Let me go ahead and actually, I didn't download it. My mistake. Get across to YouTube, and I watched this one this morning. Go ahead and just bring this up. Yeah. Oh, one of those days. Happy Saturday, everybody. Couldn't be a better day for any of us. Not it. Frickin' video. Oh, I know why. It's on Luke's thing. Episode 1, copy link address. Give me a second here to download this. I thought I had it here, everybody. No. Downey. Let's take and stretch and put that 1 gigabit data pipe, fiber pipe into action. Hopefully, Mike, have you gotten to watch the SKYWATCHER video that's out there yet?
Not yet. I have not.
It's compelling, you know, and they get to a point in there where there are other people who are part of the actual, if you want to call it, SKYWATCHER team, who are, if you want to call it, very, they're basically along the lines of what we're saying. We need evidence. We need facts, right?
Absolutely.
That we can go ahead and share with the public. Now, it sounds like, based on what's been going on, is a representative or someone who we've seen him on the SALT conference. Let me go ahead and bring him in. Probably a billionaire himself. It sounds like he's one of the backers going behind SKYWATCHER, which is a really interesting situation. Their goal is to go ahead and collect the evidence and share all of it with the public. No matter what they find. And in part of that, they were talking about, they did their observations. We've got the place where it's at. I'm trying to find the video. Tell you what, let's just jump to that in a second. Let me get to the meat and potatoes of this. Reference to it. SKYWATCHER headquarters. Where are they at? Dave Beatty, who is I believe he's an Emmy Award winning documentarian. He knows this shit. Went off to say, bring this up here. But more, I've always reached out to people in these TV shows to see if they'll speak with me. Usually they blow me off. Coulter on Metabunk found the location of SKYWATCHER Head Q filming location in episode 1. Coulter posted the GPS for me when I asked users there. They're the best investigators I've run into, by the way. It's off of Highway 395 in Southern California. There's a rental ranch, like an Airbnb, called Rocky Top Ranch. It's available at RockyTopRidgecrest.com. And if we head over to that website, I thought I had it here. Let me go ahead and open it now in a new tab. Let's get to it. I did. Here's the website, folks. So this should look familiar. This is the ranch in the Mojave Desert where they did the recordings for SKYWATCHER Ranch. For the SKYWATCHER episodes. Granted, only episode 1 is out there. We're not sure if they're done filming all of them. But if we jump back to Dave's tweet, He also has a geolocation that he shared. Now, while I went to the geolocation yesterday on my phone, it brought me up in a different location. It looked like some of a military base. But if I follow it today, it's taking me to a different location. So we've got the ranch here, folks. It's clearly there. It's visible from Google Earth. You can take a look and see kind of where it is in comparison to if we've got Bakersfield over here, Santa Clara, California here, Los Angeles here. Here we go. It's off to the northeast of Los Angeles, off in the Mojave Desert. Interesting to say the least that we've been able to pinpoint where it is. Now, a lot of people on Twitter are pushing back against Dave. Apparently, they don't like him going and sharing that information. What did Dave say about this again? Posting the location of a film set is common. It's not stalking, and it's frankly insulting and slanderous. Many historic film locations are now actually places people like to visit. I'm happy debating I'm happy to debate sharing Metabunk's Google image search that showed the location of the film set from SKYWATCHER headquarters. It's not stalking or treason or some other slanderous term. It's just posting facts. It's a publicly released and public interest docufilm. The locations are not confidential. If anyone wants to search for the location and post it, that helps the public have a better understanding of the facts of how and why the producers chose that set. I'm sorry if this is upsetting to some people. I guess as a spoiler, I don't think the series is anywhere near over. What are your thoughts, Mike? I think it's great that Dave Beatty was able to go ahead and do the digging and bring out some, facts for the audience to dig into.
Well, listen, it's public information, obviously, that Dave was able to find. And as a result of that, he brought it out publicly. He didn't do anything wrong. And that's something that anyone that has access to that information should be bringing it forward. If we had access to it, we'd be breaking it. So there's no law against that. Dave's right.
Absolutely not. And if you think about Skinwalker Ranch, everybody knows where that is, right?
Right.
Talk about the mystery of Oak Island. Everybody knows where Oak Island is.
Exactly.
So if this is what they're doing, they're trying to bring out the truth on that. I know Craig is saying this isn't evidence, but no, it's not evidence of anything except to say when they're making observations, we have an idea of where this was actually taking place. And if observations were going there, it should be going in the whole region around it, like they said in the first SKYWATCHER episode. And we should be able to go ahead and then, correlate any of the additional sightings that have gone on. Now, someone in the back with their hands up. Andy W., you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, so this was, I've not watched this episode or anything, so this is where they filmed the sky where they were.
Yes, sir. That's correct, yeah.
So, yeah, it's as long as nobody's trespassing on that property, then, it's, again, if you go, you can go to the area around Skinwalker Ranch and film if you want, as long as you're not trespassing on their property and everything. I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah.
If, I know you in America have completely different, trespassing laws regarding where you can go. Here in the UK, we have the right to walk across farmers' fields. It's set out on set pathways. You're not just allowed to go wandering across fields or anything. But if it's on public land, if it's on accessible land, then I can't see a problem with it.
More than anything, it turns this ranch turns Rocky Top Ranch into a place that may be difficult to get bookings in the future.
Yeah, I can't really see for the owners of this place for it to be a bad. If something negative comes out of a show, they're found for the sake of just saying it, not that they are. They're creating false footage or whatever have you. And I'm not saying these people are doing that in any way, shape, or form. That could be a bit of a dent in the in it. But if they're all above board, which I believe they are, it can only be a benefit to the people if they're renting out this property. Lord knows, if I could afford it, it looks a nice place to me. Bit different from where I live, all the desert, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So now, as far as the location and what they were talking about in the video itself, let me get out. Come on, let's get out of here. When they had actually gone and saw an actual UFO was going, we'll be right with you, Enoch. This is when they actually had seen their, if you want to call it, egg that was flying around in the sky. Now they're saying that from the camera's point of view, potentially it could have been going 8,892 miles per hour, 3,018 miles per hour, and 1,649 miles per hour is a minimal distance, trying to judge the size. Now, when they go ahead and show an actual size, they're going it based on the 8,892 miles per hour. Here's the thing. Objects that are seen, the human eye can only see objects that are traveling between 1,500 and 3,000 miles per hour. So, with that, no, the object was not that far out from them, which is about, wrong one, 3,380 meters. That's the distance they had. So yeah, it's not that big. It's clearly the object was at a closer location to it, which makes it a bit smaller. But one thing we have to remember with everything with UFOs, not everything is the human scale. More importantly, some of these have a different dimension of space and time, which means the object could be smaller on the outside, but the size of a football on the inside. As we take a step away from this for a second, we do have someone on our back, a guest popping in, Enoch the Witness. Welcome, my friend. How are you today? You're muted.
Your mute button is on, Enoch.
All right, here we go. It's an honor to be on here. I didn't even know I could call in until just today, this stream, but I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Oh, yeah.
This is definitely on topic with the latest psionic stuff. So I've got some photos to show, a quick little backstory. And if you want me to hurry up or shut up, just let me know.
Just go through it, my friend. You know, it's always great. Let me do this really quick. I guess hopefully it'll go to it.
Sure.
Breaking UFOs alert. We're going to interrupt our program to go ahead and deal and address something Enoch the Witness is bringing on. Enoch, do you have a first name just so we can get more personal with you?
Sure. Jason.
Good to see you, Jason. Thanks for coming in today.
So I live in Bermuda. Everybody knows about the Bermuda Triangle and all that. Yeah. But there's a lot of UFOs here. They don't ever come down low like we see with New Jersey and all of that. But pretty much any night I go outside, I could see a lot of UFOs. Mm-hmm. So anyways, when I was in my old apartment about 14 years ago, something just crossed my mind one day. And it makes me wonder now with all these latest revelations if there is something more to this. But something told me to get my camera and for the first time in my life to go outside and send out, and I know it sounds crazy, a telepathic message saying that if any of you are up there flying around now, can you please reveal yourselves when I go outside with my camera to take some random photos?
Right.
So it was a sunset. The sun was going down. I went out and all I did was literally look up at the blank sky. I couldn't see anything up there with my actual eyes. And I took random photos. And when I went back inside and checked them out, I was shocked to see that there was at least one UFO in the photos, and you can even see them moving around over the neighborhood. So I'll just very quickly show the photos. This is the first one showing the sunset.
Right, yeah. Were you going out there to try and shoot pictures of UFOs, or you just go out there to take pictures of the sunset and doing that at the same time?
I literally, some intuition told me, go try this. So
good.
I went outside and sent out the thought wave that please reveal yourselves in my photos. So, and now that I've heard more about the Sonics contact, and this was like 14 years ago, it makes me realize there might have been something happening in the background here. So that's just the sunset. There's nothing in there.
Right.
But in the very next picture, and this is just seconds later, you see this small little white thing there, which I had to zoom in. And if you look closely, it kind of looks like a disc with the little bubble on top, right?
Yeah.
And that was in the center right there.
Right.
And this is the tree tops, the house tops right down there, right? So it's not that high, but it gets better. The next photo, we can clearly see a sphere.
Right.
Right.
Is this at the same session you're taking all these pictures? Yeah, I can see the sunsets going down a bit more. How much how much later was this second picture?
They were all. I think I took all the photos over a few minutes at the most. But the crazy thing is, I couldn't see these craft with my eyes. They only showed up in the photos.
Gotcha.
Now the creepy part is that same sphere in the next photo. Look where it is.
Yeah.
It's down there. And that's not that far over the houses.
Yeah.
And that's the close-up.
Right.
There's no discernible shape, just the sphere.
Right.
And then in the next photo, it's gone.
Well, no, you can see that it's still there a little bit. There's still a little bit of a dot that's there.
Yeah, a tiny bit down there, but it's gone into the clouds a bit. And then by this next photo, it's gone. So you can actually see the sunset progress, which helps show that these craft are moving. They're not just something stationary up in the sky. And that's crazy to me. So I always wanted to share it, and I had this opportunity. So I thank you for letting me come on. And it makes you wonder what's going on out there, because we've heard these stories that if you send out this, desire for contact, they will show themselves. Well, that proved true, and this was like a litmus test, right? Which I think was really cool. But anyways, that's all I wanted to share. So
thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll jump off and let other people speak. So.
No, you can hang in the back if you want. Some people in the back may have questions for you. Any questions from anyone? Any questions from anybody in the back besides me? DVT, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas. From personal experience, I've caught spirit orbs in pictures that look similar to what you're taking a picture of outside at night. Now, I'm not saying that is, but that possibility is there. I don't know if you looked into that at all, but it's a round object that is kind of see-through with some light, and it just looks similar to what I saw. So.
Yeah, but his actually looked like a regular solid kind of a thing. There wasn't like transparency going through it. I've seen pictures of orbs and stuff coming, a long time ago, and I had someone drop a hitchhiker at my house that was around for, seemed like a good year and a half took to get rid of that thing. But yeah, interesting. Daryl Zernick, you have another question?
Yeah, Jake, was it Jason? Jason.
Yeah.
Just curious, what you said you couldn't see them with the naked eye. What were you taking a picture of to begin with?
Literally, like I said, something told me to go out there and try this as a test.
Got you.
That may have come from elsewhere. I know it sounds crazy, but I went out there on that whim. And literally just in faith, because I knew back then I've been doing UFO research for like 20 years. I'm aware that a lot of them only show up in infrared or on certain type of lenses and whatnot. And they might have stealth technology that obscures their wavelength that we perceive, so we can't see them.
Right.
So I always knew it's possible they're up there and they might only show up on camera. So I literally just went out there and just took pictures of the empty sky. That's all it was. And the fact that they showed up is what's crazy, because that means A, they are up there, B, they respond to such thought, and C, they're willing to reveal themselves. And what are they doing up there? That's the next thing. That's what's really interesting to me. If everybody's willing, I have a crazy story, and honest to God, I'm not making this up. If my wife was here, she would vouch for me. But in that very apartment, speaking about orbs, like TVT said, this is very, very, very interesting. There was a thunderstorm, and everybody's heard about ball lightning. Now, this may have been ball lightning, but hear me out on this. Me and my wife are laying in the bed as a studio apartment, and the kitchen's to the left of the bed, the door to outside's on the right. We heard this fizzle and pop and loud crack, and then floating out of the kitchen doorway, past the foot of our bed, 100% clear view, very, very slowly, was a plasma sphere about 3 foot wide, maybe 2.5, 3 foot wide, hovering off the floor, swirling masses of high energy, pink, purple, magenta plasma, crackling, fizzling, and all that, went right by the foot of the bed. I thought I was going crazy. I turned to my wife, I said, "Do you see this?" Like hoping she would say, "Yes, I do." She's like, "Yes." She was speechless. It went by very slowly. Part of me thought it's ball lightning. Maybe a lightning bolt hit the kitchen window. But the way it behaved was so strange. It just went so slowly. You would think lightning or energy would be moving quick. And we literally watched it go through the door. And when it went through the door to outside, it just passed through like, you know, a ghost or something like that. Like the door wasn't there. It was the weirdest thing. And was that orb related to this incident? Because with my photos, because that happened in the same apartment, not the same day, but you know, it just makes you wonder. And I didn't know back then, to be honest. I used to think orbs and all that were hogwash, but as the years progressed and I got more mature with my research, I realized that a lot of people speak about these orbs, and they say that the orbs are used to monitor, especially monitor contactees. So you never know what's happened before, things that I don't remember, others don't remember in their own lives, what's really going on in the background. So
now, Jason, it's Jason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jason.
Now if you know, just the last time that I saw, I have let's call it an orb highway. An orb pathway that they follow on a regular basis. Literally, I'm looking out towards the side of my house. They travel along almost in the same place every single time. I was on a phone call with someone who used to be in the chat, used to be part of the show in the back chat, someone who would call on a regular basis. And I went out there and I saw one of the craft that were moving like they always did. This time it was a bit different color. Usually they're orange. This time it was white with a little bit of a, it would appear a brighter white object. Usually I see the ones that are, you know, like color of this a little bit brighter, an orangish kind of a color. As I was going and recording it, I dumped the phone call because I couldn't record a video when it was coming on, and then I got out the phone, went and recorded. And as I was up there recording it, going around, it looked like to me that out of nowhere I had like a big moth come like fly right by my head and everything, and I wasn't sure what the hell it was. After I was done with that and I got the videos and everything was taken care of, I went back and looked at some of the pictures that I was taking at that time, and I actually had a bright green orb looked to be about this big. That was, I captured in multiple photos as it was coming and moving around and passing me. So as I was up there recording and taking pictures of the UFO, I actually had something come down really close in proximity to me, checking me out as I was checking it out.
Well,
yeah.
There you go.
No noise or anything like that, but there is a tie sometimes, I believe, clearly between some of the orbs that we'll see are tied to the consciousness that's in the craft. Now, in addition to your one thing about saying that, you know, I just feel you felt like you needed to go outside and take pictures, right? Same things happened to me before. When we finished off one of the UFO hearings or something to that extent, this is 2-3 years ago, I had a feeling to go outside, and sure enough, I went outside, and there was one of the orbs traveling right in front of my house. Had the phone with me, we captured on video and everything like this, but when you get those inklings, you get that sensation, I need to go do something, you do it, and if you do that, you actually get an opportunity to go ahead and capture some evidence, because that's the most important out, honestly, is to be able to go ahead and get evidence, because that's what everybody looks for. They want more than a story, don't they?
Yeah. That's pretty interesting to hear. You had a similar natured experience to mine. That's very intriguing.
Yeah. Now, if I have it here, let me see if I can find it here.
I have a quick question for Jason.
Take it, Mike.
Jason, do you have digital scans of those photographs?
He probably...
the originals are on my camera, but I used to do a lot of photography, so if I went through probably the tens of thousands of photos, I could probably find them if the actual little floppy thing or whatever you call it, the SSID is still good.
Yeah.
But I could always physically scan these. I probably have to do them at my office or something on the
Well, if you can just get the original photos, the original digital pictures, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Can you send them to Thomas at disclosuretonight.com and Mike at disclosuretonight.com?
Sure. Okay.
We would like to look at the original photos.
Yeah, and if it has the XF data on it and everything, it's something that's kind of important to go ahead with it. If I go ahead and just jump out here to the desktop. Let's get into this. One of the reasons this is kind of important is this is a picture of something that looks similar to what you captured, that was captured by someone we know by the name of Wes Decker. And this is a photo that I actually took a picture of this on my device. And I texted it to Lou Elizondo, showing him, hey, look at this. We've got a craft here. You can see there's actually a structure to it. Now, West also had the inclination to go outside, take photos, and there was an approaching storm front that was coming. And, you know, there are a couple different, let me get out of this image here. Let's go across to this one. Let's go to the next one. You can see there's something there, and it's a structure, and that almost looks egg-like. Not so much on this one, but you can see that it looks almost similar to the photo that you just shared.
That's right. I was going to say it looks egg-like as well. The interesting thing with Bermuda is we're on this very tall mountain that's underwater. And there's been a lot of buzz lately about undersea bases off the west and east coast of America. But Bermuda is only about 700 miles from New York. And if you look at the topography map of the sea floor, it drops down about 3 or 5 miles right off the edge of Bermuda. And it's, you know,
is that the Puerto Rican Trench?
I'm not that good with geography. I can't say for sure. Sorry.
Let me just get to it really quick.
But while you're doing that, Thomas, I shall return.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. So we've got Bermuda here. That's where Bermuda is. You're a bit further north than Puerto Rico. The Puerto Rico Trench is down at this point here, and that's where it really gets really deep. Let me just ask, how deep is the RTO? How deep is the Puerto Rico Trench? Let me go ahead and ask that. The Puerto Rico is the deepest part of the ocean. It's about 5.2 miles in depth. So you're up here in Bermuda. You can see the ocean. Yeah, there is. You are definitely on the top of a mountain range, and it does drop off a bunch, near you off into the abyss. Let's go ahead and call it from that manner. Unfortunately, it's not in 3D, so we can't see it. But this is definitely an area of high activity across the entire eastern seaboard of the United States, from Florida all the way up to the East Coast, from New York, Washington, etc., where there have been a lot of craft that have been seen in this overall corridor going along the East Coast, primarily seen by warships from the United States of America.
Yep, that's right. A lot of USOs. There's a lot of reports when they did certain operations out in the Atlantic, they would frequently see craft coming in out of the ocean. This is, stories from decades ago as well, going back to the 80s. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, it's great to link up with you. And if you want to connect, you can reach me at thomas@disclosuretonight.com.
Right on. Will do.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me on. It's an honor. That's so cool.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Excellent. How about that, folks? How about that? Andy, your thoughts? Great having Enoch pop in today. Not Enoch, Jason.
Yeah.
Either or.
Yeah, really interesting. I know people are saying in chat, oh, how can you trust the photo? Well, if you can't trust the photo, what can you trust? Yes, they can be manipulated. Unfortunately, everything nowadays can be manipulated.
Right.
I've seen many different things, and I've said it on the show, from orbs to a triangle. I've never ever been fortunate enough to get a photo of these things, either because when I saw the triangle, mobile phones didn't have cameras on them. You didn't carry a camera about with you. The fact that you were able to even capture a potential object is really good. The fact that you've taken several photos, and I know somebody said, "Oh, Venus." Well, I don't think I've ever seen Venus actually appear when the sun's up. It's visible, after sunrise, in almost twilight. So, to catch them, it would be great if we could look deeper into, get a better zoom in or whatever of it. I'm no photo expert myself, but yeah, you attempted to do something that most of the people in chat who say, "Oh, how can you trust a photo?" haven't even attempted. So yeah, kudos to you.
Yeah, thanks. I've got, if anybody's willing, I got an interesting story about using, well, let's put it this way. Years ago, I heard stories that people communicated visually with UFOs up in the sky, and close encounters of the third kind, using their light show and the sounds and the musical notes. So many times, and I've had success with this, if you get a high-powered flashlight, and maybe it's because where I live, and maybe there's more craft here, I don't know. But nonetheless, if I spot a craft up in the sky and I shine my light at it and do a certain rhythm and pattern of light, and I match it and do it cyclically, so that they know it's not accidental, it's a set rhythm at a pattern, they will respond. Like, not every single time, but most times, and they'll move. So what looks stationary will start moving once I flash it, and it will flash back. And that's happened lots of times. It's happened so many times it's not exciting to me anymore. But one night I had something happen, and I would use this as a little testimony to caution people against trying to just blanket, contact random craft. You don't know what's piloting it, right?
Yes.
But one night I did that, and the craft was quite low, maybe about, 500 or 1,000 feet over the neighborhood, and it kept getting closer. This was the closest I'd ever seen a UFO come. I still couldn't make out the shape of the craft. It wasn't close enough. But it was getting closer and closer, and it kept flashing back 3 pulses of white light, matching the rhythm. But when it got maybe a quarter mile away from me, it suddenly shot down a blue beam of light. And I wasn't looking at the craft when it shot the beam. I was looking at the ground for a second. My entire yard went blue, like a Smurf blue.
Right.
I looked up at my house. The house was basked in blue light. My body, everything was under blue light, but I didn't feel anything. And this is a sincere story, and I would love to know, like, what, with Rick Doty's knowledge, what this blue beam was, what it did to me, what its purpose was, but I couldn't feel it. I like to think I'm a very sensitive person. I could not detect any pain, temperature. There's no tingling. I don't know what the purpose of it was, but it illuminated everything blue, and then the blue light turned off. But when that happened, let me tell you, I stopped being interested like a little teenager would. I got deathly afraid, and I went inside, pulled the covers over my head like a kid, because I was afraid I might get abducted. And that put it into perspective for me. Well, it might be fun and games to contact UFOs, no disrespect to Dr. Greer, but doing CE5 communications like that might seem fun, but you don't know what's behind the wheel of these other craft.
Bingo.
Some of them could be nefarious. And if it's like, don't let a vampire in your house, they might come knocking. One day you'll just be like, oh, come on in. You know what I mean? And something bad might happen. So I think humanity just has to be a little bit cautious if they do things like this. I know I'm a hypocrite because I go out there and do it, but I'm like the guinea pig. So I fully know if I get taken one day, abducted and probed and whatnot, I'm just gonna have to go down with it because I brought it upon myself.
Yeah,
but
do not give anything the ability. And the thing is, going ahead and reaching out to these craft, first of all, I want to bring out and say that the kind of the protocol that's being used by the folks at SKYWATCHER, we believe that they're following something called the gateway process, or the gateway. Let me see, what is it called again? It's called the gateway process. It was developed by the Monroe Institute, Robin Monroe, who is the founder of the Monroe Institute, and it's a method designed to expand human consciousness through sound technology called HemiSync. That's where they use binaural beats to go ahead and to synchronize brain hemispheres into an altered state of consciousness that facilitates out-of-body experiences, OBEs, remote viewing, and deep meditation. Laura, are you familiar with that one at all?
Yes, I am. I actually have some of the old cassettes from years ago, the CDs.
Yeah. So it's worth it, Jason, to go ahead and to look into different meditation methods of what you can get there and what you can contact with. Sometimes it's following a process like the Monroe Institute, or following if someone has had different advanced ways of gaining a higher level of consciousness. Pretty much do what you can possibly do. Now, one additional, where is this at? I saw a post this morning from Linda Thompson saying, you got to be careful. You got to be very careful with what you're doing, what you're trying to connect with. if you're doing any kind of meditation or reaching out, because there could be consequences where you get an attachment to these through an attachment through consciousness that actually hits you that can't be severed. Right, Laura?
Yep.
That's correct. I was just going to mention too, some people use drugs to, access things other than binaural beats. But recent one I just heard, somebody's using sonar, which is interesting.
Was it using sonar or was it using ultrasound?
Oh, I'm sorry, ultrasound. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Thomas.
Yes.
Yeah, I just heard that yesterday. That gets you there very quickly. Like, I don't know if I'd want ultrasound being used on my body. I had it done once, and the next day I had pain from it.
Right.
Which the doctor said was impossible. I said, oh, yes, very possible. So.
And I believe what they said was, maybe was it the people from SKYWATCHER or something, is they're using an ultrasound headband or something to that extent to go ahead and help stimulate their contact experience and what they're doing and to bring on that altered consciousness state. Now, myself, I've been practicing this since, 76 or so, back when I went to several classes with my mom for civil mind control. It's actually the place where the government used to go ahead and recruit kids for their programs. Luckily, I came into that one, Laura, through my mom as a tag along, which she got in trouble after the third time that I was there, saying you can't bring him unless he's on the list. And I didn't go back again. But yeah, the skills that they teach you to open up your mind and see with the third eye and be able to do OBE and remote viewing and all that stuff, contact with your higher self. There's something about opening up the consciousness that lets us communicate more in some ways that may protect us in different ways that we're just unaware of.
Yeah, it's true.
Andy W., you have your hand up again?
Yeah, I find that interesting. It's along the lines of whether you believe or not about using Ouija boards. You're potentially or not.
No, you actually read my mind, because I actually envisioned, let's create a new Ouija board. Instead of the usual Ouija symbol, let's make something that looks like a flying saucer for moving it around and give it a new spin on the same old thing.
Yeah, we don't, and I'm not putting a religious slant on this or anything, but you don't know what you're dealing with. Again, if you're using psionics or whatever, you don't know potentially what is in these craft and what they want, what their intentions are. The main reason I stuck my hand up, I noticed that we actually had a question for Enoch. Sorry, I've forgotten your name because my short-term memory is like an
That's Jason.
But Jason, yeah, sorry, mate. But our friend Shelley from chat did ask a bit of a question of you earlier. But have you ever, do you ever get a certain time and direction to look up at? You say you've had a feeling to go outside. Has this ever happened before, where you felt like you need to go up and look in a certain direction?
Yes, I have, and I'm sure other contactees would be able to probably relate to what I'm about to say, but there's always apprehension to share events and stories because you feel that people will judge you. But there have been a few other times. I can say it's not that many, but when I piece together the puzzle pieces, it unfortunately makes it look like I'm a contactee that doesn't remember being contacted based on what everybody else has said. But there have been other times where I had that impulse, something telling me to go and look up. Once was when I was 14 years old, and it told me to go outside. I didn't hear a voice, nothing like that. It was like unspoken communication. I went outside, and when I looked up, there was, and I know it sounds crazy, but if you picture a large sheet-like cloud, and it's like somebody got a cookie cutter and stamped out like a symbol, it looked like an occult symbol stamped out of the cloud. It looked like the letter C with embedded on a cross, and it stayed for a few seconds. And as the cloud moved, the outer edge of the shape disappeared. But at the same time, I saw my very first UFO in my life. I was 14, and it was in the constellation Corona Borealis. It took me years to find out what the constellation was. But I saw a red and a blue light, pitiful UFO sighting by my standard now. But I was so excited that I saw it. That was one compulsion event, the first one. Another one, when I was 18 years old, driving on my motorbike, again, something compelled me to look up, directly up, while I'm driving my bike, which is bizarre. I looked right up, and I saw a cigar craft. And the cigar, I reported this to the airport control as well, and they said that there have been a couple hundred other reports of it. But the weirdest thing is when I looked up, I saw this gigantic blue triangle very high up in the sky, and it suddenly accelerated so fast that the outer edge of the triangular shape warped and stretched out. And when it accelerated, it went all the way down from like space and it was crashing down towards the Earth. The triangle disappeared, but it was a cigar craft at that point. Now, when I was looking at it, I thought the triangle makes no sense, but now it looks like an airplane. And I thought maybe an airplane's going to crash. I know they do missile testing over the Atlantic Ocean. Did one of the missiles go astray? And as it came down and got closer and closer, I could see a red light and a green light. I can't remember whereabouts on the craft. But when it got to, I don't know, a certain distance over this neighborhood of condos, it actually detonated in the sky in 3 explosions. And all the fragments of the craft fizzled away like little sparks and disappeared. And nothing fell down below that. I was shaking. I was so afraid. All the people at the gas station nearby were looking up, craning their necks upwards. And when I called the aviation control and reported it, this British gentleman went on the phone and said, "Oh, what you saw was a meteorite." And I was like, "Really? Meteorites look like big, long silver cylinders with lights?" "Oh, no, it was just a meteorite, and they frequently explode." I said, "Well, if that thing had actually hit the ground, it would have caused major destruction."
Mm-hmm.
It's typical, just like you would see in the movies, right? These excuses that they give. But, these compulsion events, why were these things making me look up? It's just part of that contact experience. What the underlying reason is, I don't know. Maybe I have a past I don't remember. I don't know. Or maybe they just try to initiate new contact with people. But anyways, I have another crazy story, but I don't know how much more people want to listen to me. But just tell me shut up when you want me to. I'm not trying to hog the airspace here.
That's fine, my friend. And if I could just go ahead and bring up, I've got another piece to go ahead and bring up here. Let me get it up here. This is coming from Linda Thompson, also known as Linda Research over on X. She spells this out completely. People messing around with psionics, channeling, etc., without responsible mentors can screw their entire lives up to a point of suicide because there are dangers. That's just the truth of the fact. If this is something people want to do, they want to get involved in, try and find a mentor, try and find stuff to get there, because when you're putting yourself out there in consciousness, you're opening yourself up to a whole litany of potential problems that may or may not be able to get solved. Let's go ahead and TVT in the back. You have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just wondering, have you ever heard of the Roswell Rock? And if so, I know that they did it. It kind of reminds me of like the egg, how the pilot was feeling something as the egg was being transported, well, they did testing on the rock, and when they were doing the testing, it made the owner of the rock, you could tell that he was in distress by what they were doing as they were testing this rock. I don't know if you've ever heard anything about that, or just being at having a connection to an object, so to speak.
Yeah, if you're asking me, I'm familiar with the story of the rock. I just think with all these different potential extraterrestrial races out there, a lot of them are probably at very different stages of technological evolution. And, for us, we think of something decades ahead of us as super advanced. I mean, when I went to Epcot Center as a child, they had touchscreen, and virtual reality, and it sucked, but that blew my mind. But if we encounter a species that's, say, 1 million years more advanced than us, their technology might be capable of stuff that just seems like fantasy magic. And, that rock may just have like a nano chip or something in it, might have some type of nano type grid running through it that we might not even see without the right equipment. And advanced civilizations like that might be able to hide their fingerprint on the Earth doing that type of thing.
Or, as I've learned through consciousness itself, a entity may have held it or had close proximity to it and put intention into that object. And once you have that, it actually leaves a resonance within the object that pretty much sticks around there for a very long period of time. So it may not be technological in basis, but something more of consciousness. Now to go ahead, I do have a short video here that we've had up on the channel for years here. And this is a video that shows interaction between if you want to call someone who goes out and does a lot of recordings for UFOs on a regular basis. He was driving his big rig down across Arizona, and he saw some things up in the sky, and he pulled off in Sentinel, and he got an amazing recording. And like you're talking about getting interaction coming from a strong flashlight, Nikki did as well. So let me go ahead and play this video here for everybody to go ahead and see. Bring it up. Here we go, folks.
There we go. Alright. Trying to get it in focus.
So as we're seeing out here, we've got some objects that are hanging out in the sky. But besides these two objects, we've got like anywhere from 10 to 15 other objects that are moving in the sky, like this one here, this one over here, this one over here. We've got another one that's moving over here. We have another one that's down here. So it's a full theater of about 15 different objects. Now, as the time went on, these two objects that he was recording actually came and passed over his head.
So not prepared for this.
So he's recording this with a psionics, what do you want to call it, camera that lets you basically take stuff that's in UV and in IR and brings it down to a spectrum so everyone can go ahead and see it. But this is probably one of the most amazing videos I've seen.
I'm just cutting in. Your mic's really quiet on this.
Well, it's really quiet probably for you guys in the back. So let me go ahead and take it for the web and drop it down so it's a little bit better. Here we go. Sorry. So we've got an object here that's going to be coming and passing into this one here. It's like it's going back into this object, coming to it. It's going to stop and go back the other way. Come on, Nikki, get out there and bring out your flashlight. And there we go.
Whoa, look at those guys. What in the fuck? Oh my god.
Now watch as this one goes back. He's trying to signal it.
Holy shit, dude. Oh my god. Dude, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Oh my god. Dude. I need to get my other camera.
And this is where he goes to get his other 4K camera that was charged up, and when he brings it out, there's no charge on the camera.
Alright. Holy shit, dude. Alright. We're getting the other camera. Hold on 1 second.
And the great thing about this is shortly after this is going on, he actually calls me on the phone live while he's actually doing more recording of these things going on. Now, this actually right now, he set his current camera down on the dashboard of his big rig, and it's pointing towards the area. This is the most stable video we have, plus also because we have the additional coating on the windshield itself to prevent UV from coming in a little bit. We get a little bit more insight of different objects. Like we've got, let me get to it, where to go. We've got this one here, this one here, this one here, this one here, this one over here. We've got another one over here, and there goes another one going on the bottom there. There's a bunch of things going on in this. And this is actually pointing down from along the freeway, pointing towards the Sea of Cortez, which they've had a lot of different UFO sightings down around that area.
Oh, are you fucking kidding me? Dude, this thing's dead. You gotta be kidding me, dude.
No, this isn't helicopters, and this is not near an Air Force base. There were no activities going on from the Air Force that they reported at that time. There's no power lines that they're sucking for. This is out in the middle of the desert, my friends. And what he didn't realize when he had that camera pointing off to the side, that was some of his best footage he had going on.
That's really shitty. And this infrared, I can't quite get it. There's a train going by there.
Yeah. There's a train he's talking about.
Like, focused enough.
And if there was helicopters or aerial things going off in the distance, you'd hear it. But all you're hearing is the trucks going by, the train going by, and the immediate sounds that are around him.
But these things are just sitting here.
No, the two of them are not stars. They're infrared, and here's the thing. All of the different things that we're seeing out there, none of those objects could be seen with the eye. The only way that he'd actually see these was through the psionics camera. So if they were stars or other things going on, it wouldn't have been there. And more importantly, in later videos that he has, when these objects are going over his head, yeah, they were huge.
If I could get my other camera to work, I might actually get something really sick.
Probably not, because the CCD sensor on it was just too small.
Okay, I'm going to charge that other thing.
Yes, it is a psionics camera. It's the psionics sport that he... or psionics, S-Y-O-N-I-X, not P-S-I-O-N-I-X, Hamsta.
All right, I'm going to do one more. 2, 3. All right, I signaled it. Let's see what we get.
No more signals, unfortunately. And by the way, the reason it says copyright 2022 Nick Williams in the center of this, because I put it there to protect Nick and to make sure that he gets credit for this video anywhere that it's shown.
Got earlier. Okay, I'm gonna put this down and I'm gonna try and get the other camera working.
Can't, Nikki. The batteries are dead.
It was fucking incredible. I've never seen some shit like that. Like, I never got it to pop off like that. That was so sick. Freaking out. Alright, hold on.
Now, one of the reasons that I actually brought this video up is I was talking about it, because one of the video in a subsequent observation Nikki had, he had a bright object moving along. Again, he couldn't see it with the naked eye, but it was there. But it looked like there was a beam coming down from that craft going towards the ground as well.
Whoa, what the oh yeah, that's just reflection. I'm trying to get this thing to focus as much as possible. Wow, okay. They're completely invisible to the naked eye, FYI. Completely invisible. Okay, I'm gonna shut off this recording, and I'm gonna try and charge my 4K camera. I'm gonna try one more little signal here.
And it was at the point in this video recording that Nikki called up on the phone and called into the show live to say what was going on. And we got this footage days later, and we brought it out to go ahead and share it with the world, because it is deserved to be shared. But you can see, it sometimes if you have cameras, a bright light, they will respond to it.
Yeah. Makes you wonder, are they always They must be always watching.
Watching,
You know what I
or
mean?
just aware through consciousness.
Yeah.
We never know.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But if you guys want, if you don't want, that's fine. I got an interesting story to share about.
Let's get on with some other news if we could, Jason.
Sure,
and you can bring it up in a bit if you want to hang in the back. We've got some stories to go ahead and cover here with regards to everything that's been going on with SKYWATCHER. I've got some videos here that I want to go ahead and show. And I know this is something that has a lot of interest, especially friends in the back. And this is where they actually have Jake Paul as part of it. And let's get into Jake Barber talking about, yeah, we can summon the egg whenever we want. Let's play this clip. Let's get to it, and we'll get some reactions. Hold on a second. Let me bring this video solo. There we go. Let me put on the good old fair use, top and bottom. Here we go, folks.
The last or the third reasoning I'll give you is that since we've left the program and reorganized and are now working with Arrow, I can make the egg show up. And we have. And we've demonstrated it post-program. And we did it in August.
Oh my God.
In broad daylight.
Really?
So
you can summon the egg?
Yes, we can summon the egg.
So that gives us a good idea when actually the video of them going ahead and summoning the egg, where they got some pictures when Gary Nolan was there. Oh God, we're talking September, 6 months ago at least. So it's an evolving situation, to say the absolute least, of what's happening. If I get back to my bookmarks, come on, bookmarks. Let's get to it. Let's get on to, get back to that one. All right. So
with Arrow,
let's say now Jake Barber says they're doing demos for the new director of RO and summoning the egg. Actually, this is the same one. We've reorganized and now we're working with RO. That would be the new head of RO, which was Jason is it Jason or John Kozlowski? I know it's a Polish name. Let's go ahead and get into this one. And in this next clip, yes, Andy?
No, I just said John.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I
John
appreciate that so much.
Kozlowski.
Let's get into it. In this next video clip, we've got Jake Barber thinks some of the drone simulation was generally, this is the drones on the east coast of the United States that were there for so long, was generally NHI along with other things. And that's what we've seen. I've seen videos and pictures of objects that are more traditional orbs, less something along the drone situation. So when everyone's out there going ahead and looking up in the sky, trying to look for drones, yes, they're actually running into other objects like UAPs. So let's go ahead and make sure this is the right one. Here we go. Let's play this next clip. Here we go, everybody. Again, this is from the interview that's up on YouTube right now from Jesse Michaels, who's actually funded by Peter Thiel. How about that? Let me play this. Here we go, folks.
Okay, but do you think any of these were genuine non-human intelligence? Any of these drones? You mentioned the Chinese nationals. Okay,
I do.
And so, why do you think that?
Because of the way they transitioned in and transitioned out. Because of indications we got within our observation operations, the way we observe and collect data. That would be my guess. Is I do think that there was an NHI component to this combined, which is what makes it really confusing. You know, the biggest mystery of this whole thing is the mystery. Like, there shouldn't be a mystery. This is a very simple thing. There's something in the sky. Go figure out what it is. Find out who's flying it. It's over. Day one.
Right.
This continues to happen over and over again, and we still are pretending like we're confused.
Which points to something that is far superior to us technologically, that is ephemeral or weakly entangled with our reality and popping in and out, and not something that is easily or prosaically understood. And in the case, I think what makes this so confusing is in the case in which it is genuine UAP, you would get probably our state-of-the-art drones around there as well.
Yeah.
We'd throw those out to kind of detect.
Yeah.
And so you end up with this extremely kind of fuzzy mixed bag where it's much easier. Again, I don't want to beat up on Sean Ryan. I think he's actually an amazing interviewer and guy, but like, you have him retweeting that like maybe there's like this, you know, loose nuke on the eastern seaboard. I was freaking out. I was texting Logan. We were freaking out about it for a day. And then there's something easier about that narrative, cleaner about that narrative than it's actually just this complicated mix of non-human intelligence and
people don't like
drones.
Mixtures. We want black and white, and you know, Sean is just as vulnerable to that as we all are. I can tell you it wasn't loose nukes, and why I know that for sure is because I know people that work on the NEST team. I know people on...
What is the NEST team?
It's the Nuclear Emergency Support Team. and I also know people that work for the Weapons of Mass Destruction Directive under the Department of the FBI. They were there, their families were there. They weren't like, get the fuck out of Dodge, like there's a loose nuke. So they wouldn't have had their kids there. They wouldn't have been like going to Target and buying churros. Like, no, they were chilling out.
Right.
So they weren't worried about a loose nuke at that time.
Interesting to say the least. So he thinks the drone situation was, yeah, exactly. They were either looking for a loose nuke. They could have been looking for some kind of biological agent. Who knows what they were looking for? But you know what? Whatever's going on the East Coast, it hasn't stopped, and it's continuing on through today. Now, getting on.
But
getting on to Neanderthals. Tweets, and thank you for being in the chat, and glad we can go ahead and cover your coverage of what's been going on. Let me see if I can get into this one all together. Here we go. All right, Jake Barber talking about this being angels and demons. I think there is a good place to kind of orient the idea of what we're dealing with, because there's certainly good energy and bad energy at play. Let's go ahead and play this to see where Jake Barber is going to take this, because, you know, there's been a lot of people trying to tie this back to a religious experience. More likely, the experiences that may have happened in the past, people went and equated that to a religious experience when it may just be an experience in consciousness. So let's go ahead and play this clip. Here we go, folks.
Idea, I think, is a good place to kind of orient the idea of what we're dealing with, because there certainly is good energy and bad energy at play. My experience has been, I would say, 100% good energy, like profoundly good. So for whatever reason, if this is an atypical experience, or if it only represents one half of the experiences people have with the NHI energy, that's fine. But mine has been unbelievably positive and has been life-changing and has guided me and given me orientation and motivation and clarity. It gives me so many things. It's like being tapped into something like a guiding light or an omnipresent God that has your best will at heart. But
right, because, you know, as we look at the things in the sky, they may be more advanced, but they're not a big G, capital G God. You may want to call them a little God, or because that's how we're kind of seeing these things, because it's well beyond our advances of civilization we have now, which is pretty advanced compared to where we were 12,000 years ago. But if you just look at it in the great scope of things, you know, a lot of times we've had it where people have misidentified potentially and put stuff into a spiritual religious kind of realm when it may just be something that's a little bit more up there. So let's go ahead and continue this.
The question comes up often in our circle of friends, let's say, the question of, are these things, or is this phenomenon benevolent or malevolent? And the answer is yes, because much like us, they're both. We have the capacity for both good and evil. And it just, since we're talking philosophically and beyond, like, the universe itself has a pretty consistent set of elements and structure that we've already observed. So to think that there's something like good and evil that exists throughout all domains and dimensions and distances makes a lot of sense. It would also explain a lot of what we're hearing through the echoes of history related to the phenomenon, angels and demons. So that makes a lot of sense. And it's important to not be naive and assume that there's no reason to be worried about a higher life form or a more technologically advanced life form or a more dominant life form, let's just put it that way, whether it lives in our three-dimensional space or it's extra-dimensional. It could be a real problem.
Yeah, it could be. Jason, if you want to address that for a second, I have to step away to the restroom for a second, but if you want to start talking about this, and Andy, actually, you have your hand up first, then we can bring in Jason for his thoughts. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, I'm, you know, I've just put in chat. I don't subscribe to angels and demons, you know. But then again, I'm not religious, so I think it depends on people's perception, their own life experiences. You know, if you're religious, you are gonna see angels and demons. You know, we've got the yin and yang. You know, there's half and half. You know, I don't necessarily see these things as being good or evil. I think they're the way you use the word more grey. They're a like a lot of people. You know, there's people are not black and white. There's many shades of grey for every one of us. Yeah, and for me it was he said, you know, that they're now getting involved with Arrow. You know, that for me throws up quite a big red flag. Yeah, so that was my point on it, really. Yeah, Thomas isn't there to answer, but if anybody else in back's got a follow up for that, yeah.
Yeah, if I could pop in. I'm a religious person, but I won't get preachy for anybody. But what I will say is that in my own examining of the literature, the scripture, it clearly says that outer space is what was called the heavens. God stretched out the heavens, and they're populated with life called the host. They're messengers, and they're amidst the stars. So in Revelation, for example, we learned that the bad ones, for their crimes, are kicked out of the heavens and put down on this earth. So considering that perspective, which ironically none of the churches would dare consider, but considering that perspective, which is more accurate to what the actual text says, the Bible told us all about the heavens being outer space. It says, isn't God's throne beyond the stars of the north? It's all about outer space and earth and the interaction of the two different classes of beings. So in my own personal opinion, I just view that as the solution. To me, angels aren't spirit beings that float around like from the land of Narnia. They're beings just like us. You know what I mean? So, but that's just my opinion. But there you go. So yeah, that's my look on it. Like Andy said, that's a perfect answer. Everybody is a shade of gray. I don't think there's any force out there that is complete evil. I don't think there's any force out there that's complete good. I think everybody is in some form of in between in gray, and same with any species that we may encounter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's get to Ashley, and then I want to call on Neanderthal, who's in the back right now, who actually put these posts up. Ashley, go ahead.
I am a Christian, and I do believe that everything that is created by God for a purpose. And I also agree with Andy when he says there are good, bad, and gray. So that's all I wanted to add to the conversation.
Well, thank you very much. If I could call on you, Neanderthal, you're in the back if you want to mute yourself. And what is your thoughts on this, where Jake is talking? You put together a great post on this, my friend, covering all the details. Where do you sit on this?
Thanks, man. Yeah, I watched so many interviews, and I'm finally just starting to share some of the good points that I think people need to pay attention to. I like the way he framed it as like the angels and demons thing is like a good idea of what to like get our heads around what we're dealing with, you know? Because I think most of the labels that we choose to give to these beings, non-human, extraterrestrial, whatever they are, I think it is just basically a label game. And like, kind of the way I look at this is like, are they helpful or are they not helpful, or are they indifferent, or some spectrum of that? Because I think based on like anybody that's been in the UFO community long enough to talk to experiencers, like people are having all ranges of those experiences, from really positive to really negative to like they just feel like they were taken up there to get fixed, whatever. So like I think it's a good way to look at it. And I think that, like, you know, no disrespect to anybody's religious practice or whatever, but I do think that like we're going to have to come to terms with a lot of these labels and like see them kind of for what they are, you know, because I think we're all talking about the same thing here,
right? Just
with different labels.
Because it has to be a label that transcends all of humanity, not necessarily just Christianity. There are so many different religions around the planet, but there's so many similarities that go through all these different religions. But if you're part of a particular religion, you're not allowed to go ahead and look at what's going on in other religions because it's a sin. So we don't want you to go ahead and look at what other things are saying, which kind of pulls it back to more like a cult-like kind of a thing. But realistically speaking, there's a lot of beliefs, and some of the beliefs coming out of ancient Hinduism and other areas where the Mahabharata and other ancient texts that are there that have been around for a long time tell very similar stories, but also talk about the sky gods.
Yep. I own the Mahabharata. I studied Hinduism for 15 years too.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of my abilities that I have with regards to a meditation and out of body and everything, I'm a white guy who grew up in the Midwest, born 68 in the western Chicago suburbs, died when I was born. Actually had my mom prolapsed the cord and they had to work on me for a bit to get me breathing. I came out all blue. They tried to have me. Really?
Yeah, my mom had to shake me and I came back.
Oh, they didn't shake me. The doctors actually were working on me to get me breathing after they did an emergency C-section. They wanted to let her sit there and go through labor and everything. And then they came in and the doctor checked on her and he was like, oh, fuck, you've prolapsed the cord, or oh, shit, at that time. And they took her, threw her on a gurney, raced her into the operating room, literally just splashed iodine and stuff on her to clean her up, and it was slit, pull me out, and work on me to get me going again. All right, so coming up to the next post that we've got going here, Andrew, that Jake is talking about. Let me go ahead and bring this one up here as well. Where did that go? Document guest. Here we go. No, it's old. Desktop document. No, let's go to that one. Okay, on this one here. So in this particular piece that we're going to be looking at here, Jake Barber is talking about our Congress is not in control, which I agree with. It's something we've been saying here for the longest time on Disclosure Tonight, that Congress isn't in control. Congress can do whatever they want, but truly this is a cover-up coming specifically from the executive branch, which pushes disclosure truly within the scope of our president in the United States. So let me go ahead and play this clip here, and then I'll get Andrew's reaction on it as well. Let me get this up here. Here we go. Where did it go? Oh, desktop video solo. Okay, here we go, everybody. Bring this down a little bit. Let me play this clip larger because I can. Aha.
It's a problem and it's sad, but our Congress is not in control. They are they're ignorant and neutered when it comes to the subject matter. For the most part, they're ignorant and neutered. And where they're not ignorant and neutered, they're corrupt and arrogant, which nets us a Congress that's in a state of paralysis by analysis. And I can't tell you, like, for me, how sinking a feeling that was. Like, I go running and I'm nervous because I'm going to blow the whistle. And the first place I go is the Senate Intelligence Committee and the monitor for CIA. And I start telling my story. They don't question it for 1 second. They know it's happening. They're like, they're edifying everything I'm saying and trying to cut me off because they're so like excited to actually get to talk about this and are like, oh my God, so what do I do? And they're like, give me your number. Do you have signal? I need to text you. These guys were at my house last night. And I'm like, wait a minute. This was my asking for help moment.
Interesting enough. This is my asking for help moment. We have another person up in the back, NVME Forever first.
Hi guys. Good evening. Well, for me, it's actually early morning. I'm in Europe right now. Hi guys.
Hey.
I have a quick testimony, and this is so deep, and it really kind of involves everything, all the questions that everyone is having.
Right. Can we get to that testimony in just a little bit?
Sure.
Awesome. We'll call on you a little bit as soon as we get past this stuff with Jake Barber, I promise.
No problem.
All right. Let's get back to this. Your thoughts on this, Andrew? What was that, Mike?
I said it should be interesting with Jake Barber.
Yeah. So first place Senate Intelligence Committee. They're asking questions. They want to get with him on Signal. But Mike, as this conversation was going on when you were off dealing with things, basically it came into saying that Congress is not in control, that it's corrupt, and it's not going to go anywhere.
Which is interesting because if you remember, Thomas, you and I broke the story back before the hearing on November 13th that Congress has not been telling the truth to the public, or what they claim to be pro-disclosure. Obviously, that's not the case.
Right. That's why we had the whistleblower at the last hearing go ahead and get, if you want to call it, shut down, and he wasn't able to go ahead and actually speak.
No, and they worked for months with Corbell and Knapp to bring this whistleblower forward for the proposed hearing before November 13th. And then at the last minute, Representative Nancy Mace refused to allow Knapp and Corbell and the whistleblower to testify. And then they swapped out with the witnesses who did testify at the last minute. Because if you remember, we were speaking with some of those witnesses, and they told us up until a few days before the actual hearing, they didn't get confirmation yet. And they were notified at the very last minute. So they pulled the rug out, Congress did, the UAP caucus, on what this hearing was supposed to be, what it was intended to be, but in actuality was a whitewash cover-up.
Yeah.
So it's
Congress cannot be trusted with disclosure. That's a fact.
No. But then the million-dollar question is, why would Congress be working with the executive branch to cover this up? How does it benefit them?
No, it doesn't. If anything, it's kept covered up, Mike, within the executive branch. That's the problem.
But the legislative branch, where Congress rests, is not directly connected to the executive branch, but it seems they are working hand in hand.
Well, it seems that there's what I call an executive SAP coming out of the executive branch, that there apparently is no oversight in.
You said.
Yeah.
That before this came forward, the public wasn't even aware that a program like that could exist under the President of the United States directly.
Yeah.
That's interesting information, what they've been covering up and hiding, even something like that.
Yeah. If we could go to Andrew, if you're still, I think you're still in the back. You put this video up here, this clip on Twitter. Your thoughts on this with regards to the cover-up and why Congress is not functional with regards to UAP disclosure?
Well, I think one of the main things that people kind of like, it gets lost in the mix of all this news right now that's happening is the fact that like Barber and Grush and a bunch of other people have already given this testimony to everybody before we ever even hear their names. Like we had already, like Grush, I can't remember how many hours, but he gave so many odd hours. And Jake Barber in this interview talks about all the testimony to all the different people he's given. And they're clearly not doing anything with it. And the thing that's worrying too is like when he says they're trying to ask him for help, you know, like that's a new one for me, because I mean, if you don't know that like Congress is basically bought and paid for at this point by all sorts of people, I don't know what to tell you. You know, look at Nancy Mace's reaction to the drone answer that we got officially. That was super disappointing. But like, I think that basically there's no solid structure in this like legacy secrecy program like Jake talked about. Like it's not there's no real control group over it all. It's very disparate and everywhere.
Right.
And so basically like nobody wants to pull the trigger on this. And if they're doing the wet works type stuff with all of these whistleblowers coming out, like, you know, Jake talks about a friend of him and Grush's that got killed in the process of this whole thing. Like he was trying to go rat out whistleblowers to the FBI at Greer's last disclosure hearing. So like, I think it's just basically a huge tangled mess. That's why, like, if this effort with SKYWATCHER is legitimate, like, I think we basically have two paths, you know, to disclosure. If it's legitimate that we can get some sort of public info and proof and data, like if these guys manage to call a ship down that's not classified and like let people study it, that might be the best way, or it's basically an executive order, you know? And so I was optimistic, a lot more optimistic than I am now after the drone answer. But I mean, a lot of people were talking about briefing Trump. He's talking about executive orders and stuff like that. But I think that basically those are the only real two paths to disclosure: is an executive order or some sort of public proof that we gather that makes them, it forces their hand.
Yeah. Great points completely, my friend. Great points. If we can get to Ashley now. You have your hand up.
I have a couple of thoughts on the reason that they're covering up things. I originally got into this topic because I wanted to figure out why there was so much corruption happening and why the American public was starting to distrust the government so much. And I think a lot of it has to do with lobbying, and I wish they would stop the lobbying, honestly, and go back to like actual grassroots and like having people do like word of mouth or something to help their campaign. But to accept money from PACs, and I've looked into the different funding that different campaigners or politicians get, and some of those PACs are so vague you don't know who contributed to them. I think there's a lot of black operations that want to hold on to the technology part. And I think we, as the people, we think the technology is cool and everything, but we also, like, our main reason that we want disclosure so bad, at least as far as I can tell for the general public, is to figure out, dark money.
Bingo.
Is to like figure out what these beings are, what that means for humanity, and what their intentions are.
Yeah. Now, just calling it PACs for that matter, it's not all dark money for that matter. But if you look at some of the people that were the hardest against RFK Jr. so far, that have been giving him the hardest time when he's been going through the hearings to get confirmed. The people that have been the most against him from getting this position in HHS to be the head of our health for our government, to try and go ahead and make America healthy again, which we definitely need to get back there again. Those people have tons of millions of dollars all coming in from the drug companies. And this is the guy who wants to go up against the drug companies. So it shows how special interest and lots of money, briefcase, suitcases full that are trucked in virtually to these senators' offices and say, here, we want you to go ahead and represent our position. It's just corrupt.
Right. And then and we have to think too that Trump is trying to get his agenda out right now. So maybe that's taking precedence over disclosure at the moment.
Get there.
So they have the people in the background kind of doing like the soft adult movie version of disclosure. And, it's something, maybe that's why the date that everybody's talking about, the year that it comes out, is 2027, because after that, the midterms will be.
So in other words, we're getting the Skinamax version when in reality we want the OnlyFans version.
Yeah, not too satisfying, right?
Exactly. Thank you. I appreciate that, Ashley. Now, getting back to the next tweet I've got here from Neanderthal, since we've got him here with us. There was just a podcast that was out from the Saul Foundation on YouTube talking about Eric Davis was talking on the Collins Elite. The Collins Elite is some people who have been if you want to call it sleuthing in the background of our executive branch of the halls of Congress to go ahead and control things. Now, what did he say? Let me just say one little quote before we play it. These random individuals have such strong belief from their religious upbringing and indoctrination that they were trained to understand and believe that UFOs are demonic and satanic. Here's the thing. This is what we used to hear coming out of the DOD, and that's what Lou Elizondo, and it was also said by James Lukatsky in his book Skinwalkers at the Pentagon. Yeah, there were people in the Air Force or the Pentagon who were saying these angels and demons, and we should not be, paying any attention to it, which is crazy. If we have national security issues going on over our military bases, over our warships, over our, not just over that, but over the homeland of the United States. Forget about just the military, but over houses like mine and yours and everybody else's. That's the problem. So let me go ahead here and play this next clip here. It's Nice 2-minute clip coming in here. Let me bring this up. And it was a great podcast coming from Soul Foundation, worth checking out. I think it's a good couple hours. So they were on right before our show started. So let me go ahead and bring up this video. Here we go. Bring it up a little bit higher and I'll hang out on screen with them. Let me throw on the fair use again. And here we go, folks.
Talked about that in his book, and that's a real issue. And it is not an organized group of religious fanatics that I'll call them. In other words, people who are have strong, sincere beliefs in their religious upbringing and theocracy ideology and so forth. It's that you have just individuals scattered throughout the government, in intelligence and in the Defense Department, and and maybe even in other departments of the United States government. And these random individuals have such strong beliefs from their religious upbringing and indoctrination that they were trained to understand and believe that UFOs are demonic and satanic, and recovery of UFO or UAP craft is unpatriotic. No patriotic American should study and learn about demonic technology, because we're in a war against Satan, and we're going to be battling the apocalypse soon. And this is their thinking. This is their way of upbringing. These are 4-star, 3-star generals or admirals who grew up in Kansas or Nebraska or parts of Texas and so forth, and they have a very right-wing religious upbringing that's very extreme compared to the mainstream religious denominations that were founded in the United States after the founding of the country's 13 colonies and the nation itself later on. So these are really extreme fundamentalist evangelical folks, and there aren't that many of them. There might be 1 or 2 of them grouped together as a couple, or maybe even 3 of them have coffee or tea together, maybe lunch once a month or whatever. But there's no concerted, organized group doing anything, and their purpose is to stymie or interfere with any project or program operations that are related to UAP crash retrievals, the study of NHIs, and is that right? Non-human intelligence. I just call them alien bodies.
So there we go. Interesting. The Collins Elite is something that Greg O'Brien, if he was here, he's brought up many times as saying this is an organization that's behind the scenes. It's been going against disclosure for whatever reasons they have, and it sounds like it's more of a religious basis. Andrew or Neanderthal, your thoughts on this one?
I think it's interesting. He really tries to downplay that it's a group. You know what I mean? He tries to present this as just like individuals acting on their own beliefs, like loosely affiliated at best, because there's a lot of conflicting information about that for sure. And like, I think with any of the like Eric Davis type characters, Jim Semivan, like I like to take the Grant Cameron approach to these guys, and don't necessarily believe everything they say, but listen to what they say. And I think that like it's just a weird question with the whole Collins Elite thing for me, is whether it's because of their religious beliefs or not, whether they call it satanic or not, are they right? Like, and if they are right, does it mean that we shouldn't study this stuff? You know what I mean? Is there like a real danger from studying these stuff? Like, I try to focus on those questions. And I do think it's very interesting too, that he made it very clear that he thinks that like the Majestic 12 type operation that's still happening, that's now under a different name, of course, is separate from this organization, and they don't really deal with that.
Right.
And so I don't know what to think about the Collins Elite thing, man. You know what I mean? Like, people have tied loose ends together on this for years, and it definitely seems like there's something there. But I mean, is it a group? Like, a lot of people say it's a group, and then Davis says it's like individuals basically acting on their own convictions. It's just basically kind of a mess for me.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you completely with regards to the Collins Elite. Well, if we look at the history of the Collins Elite, as I bring it up here in front of me really quick, the Collins Elite was first publicly mentioned by Nick Redfern, a British author and UFO researcher, in his 2010 book, Final Events in the Secret Government Group on Demonic UFOs in the Afterlife. Now, Redfern also claims that the group was formed in the 1950s after the government and military officials researching UFOs became convinced of the phenomena were not extraterrestrial in origin, but an interdimensional or demonic. So we're talking clearly about something that's from another dimension. I'm not sure if they're from another dimension is actually going to make them out as actually truly being demonic.
The Collins elite. Well, Nick Redfern talked
sorry about that. Didn't mean to start that again. And allegedly, they believe that engaging with UFOs and alien beings was dangerous because these entities were deceptive and influence human consciousness for nefarious purposes. So it's been out there in the lore for a number of years, but it, based on what the Collins elite was saying and representing, we've heard other people saying that particular dialogue, those particular statements have been made by people in the Pentagon in the past. So there's something that's tying people in the Pentagon, at least the old one we had, to this organization. Yeah. Mike, do you have any thoughts on the Collins elite?
Yeah, we covered the Collins elite on several episodes of the show. They are primarily composed of very highly religious members of middle management in government and in the military. And their religious beliefs are not organized in a structure that is like Majestic 12 or the military industrial complex where they're organized, they have an agenda. They just basically block anything that goes against their extreme religious beliefs about demons and religion. And they have been blocking any type of disclosure coming forward in the government at that level. If something was to come out, they would block it, cover it up, bury it. They would have infrequent meetings, but they have a similar agenda. It's not a direct threat, but the Collins elite that's been operating since the 1950s, they're more of a nuisance, is what they are in the way of disclosure itself. But this goes back to the points that you and I make about religion as a whole and how it would be involved in UAP belief. It's like apples and oranges. Religion and science about NHI and UAP should be completely separate from each other. One thing has nothing directly to do with the other. So we run into this kind of primitive belief system that can sometimes get in the way of actual truth and transparency coming out on this subject from people within the government that, like Andrew mentioned, they're raised in the Bible Belt in the United States, and from their upbringing, they have these strong commitments and beliefs that interfere with the duties that they were sworn to behold. And so it's and they're an annoyance, but they're not a major threat.
Yeah,
based on what we understand.
Absolutely, Mike. I couldn't say it better myself. It's a group that operates in the shadows and apparently has a lot of influence over our government. We'll just see if that's going to continue over the next 4 years.
The new administration, hopefully he's going to clean house with the swamp.
Right, absolutely. Now we've got 3 people with their hands up, and then I want to get to NBME Forever First, who's been waiting patiently about what's been going on in New York. Just hold on a little bit longer. Let's get to Sergeant Daniel, USMC first.
Hey, how you doing? Well, I think that there is a big, there's something religious going on, not specifically religious, but I think that the explanation that you'd get from someone who really knows what's going on, there's a spiritual portion of this.
Let's drop the word spiritual, call it a consciousness connection.
Sure. But I think that they probably conquered all these questions. These beings or entities, they conquered all these questions that were forbidden if you go, forbidden to even question. They make it a sin to even question. So these beings might have those answers as far as, the soul is on forever, we don't die, or reincarnation, which...
They may have the answers too and said, yes, we had our hands in creating you, and yes, we've actually been involved in the establishment of religions, etc. There's a lot of different things we could potentially learn, Daniel.
Right, and I think that one of the Vatican's got to be absolutely... look at the thing, place is covered in gold, and what if they're completely wrong? Oh boy. There's a big problem there. And,
well, if they're completely wrong, they can start letting some people beyond their 30-foot walls and start taking in some refugees.
Right, absolutely. But I mean, there's a lot of they have a lot at stake.
Oh, they've got a lot of money. They've got a lot of money at stake. Truthfully,
absolutely. So they wouldn't be, keen on hearing that Jesus was an alien or something crazy like that. I
whatever
mean,
the answer is, bring it on.
Whatever, I don't know what it is. I'm just guessing, but I'm throwing it out there.
Yeah.
As far as that,
well, it kind of points to it in some different ways than our modern understanding of things. You never know.
I want to know if what they think, what the aliens or ETs or non-humans.
Yeah, because
what do they want?
It's not just understanding about, oh, yes, they're here. Let's hear about their history. Let's hear about the history of the world, the history of the galaxy, of the universe. And there's so much information that they could possibly give us. But there's a lot of people who are saying, no, they're devils. They're not telling us the truth. We can't listen to a word they're saying. So it's just something.
What do they want to tell us?
Yeah.
What do they want to tell us? What do they want to, what are we going to learn from them? Do they want us to know they're here? I mean, is that what they're trying to do? I mean, I wish someone could answer that, but I don't think anybody really has those answers.
Let's give it a little time. We'll see it. And we have gotten 2 more super chats that came in. One from Ashley Canada once for $3 and another one for $1.99. Thank you very much, Ashley. We appreciate your love and support for everything we do here in Disclosure tonight. And we did have one earlier from Kane Northrop. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. Let's get to Neanderthal and then Enoch, and then we'll get on to NBME Forever first.
Hey, I got to jump off. I just wanted to say thanks for having me on, man. Great discussion, and I'll be watching.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, and don't feel free to stop by at any time.
Will do. Have a good night, you guys.
You too. Thank you.
Take care.
Right. Let's get rid of Enoch. Go ahead, or Jason, I should say.
All right. Yeah, I was just going to say, real quick on the secrecy and all of that there. I think the reason why Congress will probably never reveal full disclosure. I'm not American, so I'm not versed in American politics and all of that. But knowing what I know from my study ufology for 20 years, there are certain secrecy clearances that are above Congress and even above the president. They're not even privy to that knowledge.
Well,
and because of this, you're never, in my opinion, you won't get the full disclosure. And the other thing people have to stop and think about is, why did they make all of this so top secret back in the 40s? When they were discovering uncontacted tribes, that's breaking news around the world. Isn't it the same thing in effect? You're finding the difference is that these tribes are far more advanced, and you have to ask yourself, what will be a logical, sensible reason for, this level of secrecy? There must be a good reason. It's not just because of technology. Other countries have downed craft since the 30s that they've been back engineering. They crashed in Italy, Germany, all sorts of places, starting back at the same time as Roswell. I don't think it's just technology. People have no problem with these technological leaps we've had since the 40s. I don't think people's minds are going to be blown or the realities will be shattered because, there's interstellar travel capabilities or some other fancy type of tech. There's some reason. What if? And I'm not saying
that reason, really quick, if I could jump in, that reason Lou Elizondo has described many times as somber. So it's something that's going to go at the root of our belief system. But if that's what it truly is, let's get our head out of the sand. Let's stop acting like an ostrich. Let's understand where is our current pecking order truly in the universe, in the world. And if anything, I would say our governments may not want this information to come out because they're afraid that, we're going to see humanity as a whole and not just a bunch of individual countries fighting against each other, that there's something larger to tie us all together on. That we just had the clip on earlier this week that Ronald Reagan has said many times in the past to former U.S. president. Mm-hmm. If we can.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It could also be, I'm not trying to stoke, conspiracy ideas, but we've had a number of prominent whistleblowers admit that there are most likely undersea bases, and even Senator or Congressman Burchett said that I copied his clip. He said that on the news the other day, that there very well could be undersea bases. And what if you were to find out that this whole time there's other beings more advanced and powerful than you living right around you underneath? That might be the fear factor that's requiring this secrecy.
You know, they have undersea bases in other places. They may have bases up on the moon. There may be thousands, if not millions, if not tens of millions of these in other places. And they go where? Why do they go underneath the ocean? Think about this. Every so often, the Earth has a cataclysm cycle that it goes through on a regular basis. The oceans rise up and pretty much wipe out everything on the surface. However, the bottom of the ocean, underneath the bedrock of the bottom of the ocean, think about all that weight pressing down on that rock and everything that's there, keeps everything pretty stable. So when the top gets sloshed, it's like, you know, we're the little pigs in the house of sticks or the house of wood. And you know what? They're in the house of bricks and they're down there for a reason, because if they're going to be here for long-term survival on the planet, they need to be in a place where they're not going to get wiped out on a regular basis like our little humans happen, and we forget everything on a regular basis. If we
and
could.
You're shielded from cosmic radiation, as well.
Oh yeah.
If they were some old civilization from millennia ago that survived one of those nuclear, alleged nuclear events from the Mahabharata and such,
yeah,
then maybe they hit under there because in their experience and their prior generations, they survived all those.
Or when the Earth goes through a magnetic flip like we're heading into now potentially, that actually it's not like all of a sudden the North Pole and the South Pole flip. From what I remember reading in years ago, was that when that actually happens, you go from one North Pole and a South Pole to nothing there, and the nothing there can actually last for 500 to 700 years. And what happens then is all the cosmic radiation and everything from the universe comes into the planet, but also every time the sun goes through its cycle and sets stuff out, it comes on and hits the planet with a lack of magnetic field head on, and whatever's on the surface is going to have to deal with that. Look at all the ancient cities they have in Turkey where they had spaces for hundreds of thousands of people to live underground for a long period of time, sections where they have livestock to go ahead and grow crops. It clearly shows that in our past, every so often, we do have to get underground, and it's potentially not to go ahead and hide from other men, but also just to hide from whatever's coming from the skies. If we could. Thank you, Enoch. We've got NVMe Forever First. Welcome. Sorry about the delay.
No worries. Hi. Good evening and good morning to some. Hi, Thomas. Hi, Mike. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I've been watching you for a while. I'm not going to take too long. But I have a quick testimony, and it's all going to tie in. Okay. Last weekend, on my Saturday, it was a Saturday for me because I'm in Europe, located currently in Europe. On Saturday, I had a stroke. But in my stroke, I recall everything that happened. I had pretty much what you would call an out-of-body experience.
Yeah.
And I remember everything to the T. But as I was experiencing my stroke and as I was collapsing, it's something with the consciousness and in the spiritual realm. I just need to say that.
Sure.
Now, I heard, I would say a divine voice, basically just telling me to try to touch your left hand, try to touch it. And I couldn't do it. My husband got scared, of course, obviously. I collapsed. I'm going to just make this story very short. And I just want your community to please, if it's possible, can you guys just think outside of the box real quick with me?
Okay. We got you.
Thank you. Okay, so when I had experienced this stroke on Saturday, the thing is that it was so unique when I got into the hospital, according to my family, my in-laws and my husband. Now, number one, my blood is so low, basically anemic, and the point that I had thrombosis that traveled to my brain and pretty much behind my eye. It was I would say it's a teaching hospital. Okay. A lot of students came to pretty much, I was a case study for them. Okay.
I got you.
Now, during this stroke, I actually lost my vision in my right eye. Okay. So I want you guys to make a quick connection with me.
We got you.
When I had lost my vision in this eye, I started to realize the divine works mysteriously. Okay. So basically, there's things that we are allowed to see with the vision, our normal vision, or the human conscious aware vision as opposed to in the spiritual sense vision. Okay. So when I lost my vision, I was seeing things. I'm still currently seeing in the spiritual sense things that are not supposed, or what we would call shadow figures or ghosts or things of that nature. Okay. And how I could prove that what I'm saying is accurate, because I'm sure if Channel 7, I've been on Channel 7 News on their chats and stuff like that. And I've been predicting things when it came down to that tragic collision that happened in Washington, D.C. Okay, I've been actually putting it on. I needed to be on record because I know that is a divine power. Now, I want you guys to also think about where you say where the angel and demons, where this all come from. Okay, so imagine in Egyptian times, okay, why, and this history behind this, why a lot of these higher, or say superior beings, they want to be like gods, or they want to be gods, but they believe in mummification, right? It was for a reason. It's hidden knowledge. In order for you to reach into the realm, supposedly, is that my husband is talking, forgive me. Husband, stop. I'm sorry, excuse me. In order for you to reach into this spiritual realm, you have to experience a near-death experience. Somehow, some way, with the conscience, when you lose a certain conscience in your brain or some type of connection, something links. I can't explain this. I'm trying to articulate this the best way I can. I want to write a book about this, but it have a lot to do also with in the Egyptian times. That's why we think about gods and demons and angels, because
but you need to get away from
linked.
just focusing on Christianity. You got to remember it's only been around for a couple thousand years. More than that, there's a bunch of other religions that have been around for a long period of time that actually talk about a lot of the different stuff that we're running into right now. So yeah, I get what you're coming from. It's a very interesting story. Thanks for sharing it with us.
We appreciate it.
Quite welcome. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Can you put that up one more time, Enoch? I can see, please. Fortunately, I can only see it one eye.
Enoch, if you say something, we can go ahead and
correct.
Share it with everybody.
Jason,
thank you.
Yeah, Jason, just say something real quick.
Okay. Well, I was just holding up my book that I have here, Kabbali on a Study of the Hermetic Philosophy of Ancient Egypt and Greece. So that's it touches into some of the things she was mentioning. So I was just holding it up for the other video callers to see. But
yeah.
Cool book. It's very true. Believe in me when I'm saying I'm seeing things that I won't see with the natural eye. I'm seeing these images and they're linked.
Wow.
But I'll just let it be. And yeah, I'll testify another time.
And hang on. If you want to talk with
guys.
people in the back after the show's over, feel free to hang around.
Oh, sure. No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Nick, you've got your hand up, my friend.
Yes, Thomas. Are you gonna play the clip I sent you?
Let me get that one last clip up here really quick. Let's see if I can go ahead and get it there. All right, 1 second. Oh God, no. Yeah, all right, I'll play it. What the hell? Sue me.
Might as well.
Yeah.
Activated.
All right, I'll leave my thing here and you'll see it. This is Jake Barber talking about it. It looks like this is coming from Red Panda Koala Mike. Not only that,
interesting.
There's some pictures up of Stephen Greer and other things as Jake Barber is talking about this. So let's go ahead and bring.
Let's cover it.
Let's cover it. Thank you for reminding us, Nick. I appreciate your persistence on that. Let me go ahead and find that video. Guest Mike. Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Actually, as ready as we're ever going to be. Let me. Come on, show up. Come on, one more time. Oh, it's not going to work. Screw it. Let's just play this. Here we go. Little 1 minute, 21 second clip. All right, let's play it.
In 2023, I believe, there was a whistleblower conference shortly after the Whistleblower Protection Act got activated. And then there was this at the National Press Club hosted by Stephen Greer. There were several whistleblowers that had decided to come forward in that environment and share their stories.
Interesting. He's got pictures from Greer up there. And I think this isn't, maybe this is from that particular thing, but I believe this is a newer one, unless he was at the one meeting from 2023. Let's play him a little bit more.
It's probably newer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is current.
Let's continue on.
Let's play this.
Yeah.
So we were actually sent there on behalf of our employer to look for whistleblowers that we were trying to basically report to the FBI and get arrested, because at that time I was in this weird place between becoming a whistleblower or rounding up the whistleblowers and shutting them up, because there were good reasons and bad reasons to be a whistleblower. And so
you were at this press event red teaming, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
You are trying to maybe gather intel on people who might become a liability for the program.
Yeah.
And you hear Michael Herrera give his testimony.
Yeah, and I wasn't prepared for that. So
I'm sorry, because you had already seen the ACON.
Yes.
And then he talked to us what you had experienced firsthand.
Yes.
And then
he's getting up there, and everyone's like, "This guy's full of shit."
Well, his was the.
I think I couldn't say it better myself, Mike.
No, that was very interesting comments that were being made.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, perfect.
I mean,
I think it sums it up.
He was actually hunting down. Are you amazed, Thomas, that he was actually like hunting down whistleblowers to find?
I wouldn't say he was hunting down. He was going out there trying to find whistleblowers potentially. And if he was actually, what just gets to me, Mike, if this program is so top secret, right?
Yeah.
And it's been covered up and people have been potentially killed by the program for even just mentioning a word of it.
Correct.
And now they're taking practices and techniques that they learned as part of the program to go and do their own thing, right?
That's supposedly the claims being made by Jake Barber.
How is he, if that's the case, how is he still breathing?
Oh, that's a very good question. That's an excellent point, Thomas. If the way things have operated within the government in those circles, technically he shouldn't be, but he is. And not only that, but it seems like his role that he has discussed, that he's publicly explained his work for the government, it seems to every day we see a new version of the role that he played, a new chapter.
Yeah.
So I find that interesting, that the story keeps changing, the roles keep changing.
I mean, because he's even come out and said in this interview that he was involved in the liberation for Kuwait, which took place in 1991, which was 3 years before he even entered anything into the service.
Which is strange,
to
say the least.
Now, he has come back and said, no, that was in the late 90s. But no, when you made the statements that I was involved with the liberation of Kuwait, I remember I had my best friend from high school who was involved with the liberation of Kuwait. And he was in the vehicles that were driving from Kuwait back into into Iraq at that time. And he was with his friends jumping up and down on top of the vehicles saying, look, we got it. We killed these things. And of course, a year and a half later, or not even a year later, he was down in a hospital in Texas with a tumor the size of a softball in his neck, taking his life because he was exposed to high levels of depleted uranium.
Right.
So
because
I know people who have died
91.
who were part of that. And that was in 91.
Yes, there's Operation Desert Storm.
Yeah.
And that was under the first President Bush.
Yeah.
So, you're right. But so he makes statements and then corrects them because they're wrong or erroneous. It's suspicious. It's
an evolving story. It's like when anyone tells a story, there should be pretty much the same thing that goes from point to point. We're just hearing some things that are changing over time right now.
Which is a problem.
Right.
To be honest with you, because like you said, if somebody has a background and they have done specific work or anything, politics, doesn't matter what topic we're talking about, it should never change the facts and details of the information. It should always stay the same. But if it keeps changing and evolving, that's an issue of concern, I would think. For credibility. It's a credibility destroyer.
100%. It's just some of those things we have to take a look at, Mike, and understand if this is what we're kind of dealing with. It's just some small pieces, but those small pieces definitely do add up.
Not add up. They don't add up.
So we're not saying anything about Jake. We're, negative. Well, we're just trying to say, wait, he said this one thing, but it's actually something else. So it's just questionable. I'll leave it at that.
It is. It is. And listen, I mean, we'll keep making the same point publicly about our position on Barber and his claims.
Yeah.
We're not disputing him. All we're saying is that he should follow through and publicly show the evidence that he's claiming to be able to procure,
right,
and show it to everybody. That's all. We just want to see.
And if
it.
they can, and if if SKYWATCHER succeeds under the funding probably of Peter Thiel, which it looks like it is, maybe, and they can get facts and they can bring it out to the public, all I can say is bring on the evidence, because the people of the world want to know the truth as far as what's going on.
It's all we want, and if he's able to do that with his group and his company, we'll cover it, and we'll bring it out there. So no problem. That's all we want. That's it. We're not making things complicated. Just show us the proof.
That's all. That's all we want, Mike. That's all we want is just the frickin' proof, honestly.
Exactly. And we have more hands up back here.
All right, we got two last people with their hands up. Let's go to Sergeant Daniel and then Josie, who just joined the back. Sergeant Daniel?
Okay, as far as the Kuwait goes, I got the Kuwaiti Liberation Medal of Kuwait, but I went in 1991. I don't know how I got it. We were doing operations all over Iraq and everything else. So they never stopped giving out the medal. It came directly from Kuwait. So if that's on his DD-214, I guess he could claim he helped them in some form. The medal actually came from Kuwait. Like I said, I mean, I get joined after the Desert Storm, but that's all. It's probably a medal thing.
Yeah. It could be, my friend. It absolutely could be. Now, Mike, this is one last, I actually want to bring up really quick since we're just on this. I know we're in overtime right now. We're just about done. This is a message that I had brought up at the start of the show when you were taking care of some things. Let me go ahead and bring this up here really quick. Document solo. All right, this can actually get to guest on this one. Let's bring you in, Mike. This is what I was saying earlier, and we talked about this last night a bit. The public needs facts. More importantly, the evidence to make a decision about disclosure. Without it, we're stuck with reasonable doubt. And the reason I have a jury here is because this represents your average citizens of the planet, not people who are heavily involved in UFO disclosure on UFO Twitter and everything. If disclosure is going to happen, like we also talked about it, Mike, these are the people that need to jump on board. It's not just us.
Right. It's the court of public opinion, Thomas.
Right.
And if we can't convince them, then there is no disclosure.
Yes, absolutely. Josie, go ahead. You have your hand up.
Okay. Can you hear me?
We got you.
Perfectly. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say good afternoon to everyone.
Welcome, Josie.
Thank you. This is my first time coming on. And which is really strange, is my battery is dying really quick. I'm going to try to get out what I'm going to say as soon as I can. I am in North Bend, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
We have craft everywhere.
Yeah.
They are all over the bay. They are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have some information to disclose. I'm going to need Mike or Thomas to get a hold of me.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I can show you everything. I can show you how everything works.
Yeah.
I can show you what is going on. I have everything documented, and
Swell.
boy, do I have a lot.
Good.
I want everyone to know they are with us. Absolutely 100%. I am at risk at this moment talking to you. There are craft above my house that follow as I move around. I have had police come here and say to me, Josie, what are you seeing? Do you have video of this? They are monitoring me like you have no idea. I need to let everyone know who is listening. They are here.
Oh, yeah.
And what you are all leaning towards as far as ancient script,
yeah,
it is all shown. All of it is shown. I have it documented.
Excellent.
I am not somebody that is crazy. I am telling you, they are here.
Yeah.
And I want everyone to start looking at their lighting. I want you to start looking at headlights on cars, lighting anywhere. In your house, you're going to start seeing what looks like plasma. You will start seeing a starburst as this plasma grows, and you will notice it. Now that I've said it to you, you will start noticing it. Anyone that comes to North Bend, Oregon, will see the craft coming in at night.
Yeah.
They come in the bay. They are lit up. A lot of them are cloaked. I live on the ocean.
Yeah.
You
So
can see
you know
them
what?
coming.
We've got someone in our audience who's actually a producer who does work on UFO kind of documentaries and such. Tim Senor, also known as Anonymous Rex in the chat. If you can send an email to Thomas@disclosuretonight.com, I'd be happy to go ahead and connect you with him as well. And that way we can connect as well.
I have tried to send you video. Google has blocked me.
Okay, so what
They
you need to
even
do is if you're
destroyed the
trying to
YouTube.
send the images, you need to take them, zip them up into a single file, and then there is a website called WeTransfer, WeTransfer.com. You don't need to sign up for an account with them or anything. You can anonymously go ahead and send that zip file to me, and I'll be able to download it directly.
Okay, so I'm just letting you know that they have pulled out all the stops.
Well, if you send it
block
with
this from coming
WeTransfer,
out.
you'll be able to get it to us. We'll be able to take a look at it, and I'd be happy to connect you with Tim as well.
Okay, so I just want to, I can't reassure everybody because I feel safe. I have been shown many things.
Mm-hmm.
I have everything documented. If you saw what I have, you would just be, holy shit.
Yeah.
Well, then
This
send it
is
to
real.
us, Josie.
Yeah.
Send it to us.
Let's send it
That's
to
all.
us and
This is
let's do a
real.
follow-up then.
Okay, I live in North Bend, Oregon. I am above the bay, right across the street.
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to think in the audience, okay, she's a loony. No. That is not what is happening. I have everything documented.
Then send it to Thomas and myself, and we'll go over it, and we'll let the audience know what your claims are, and find a charger for your phone.
Yeah, and
Before it dies.
Tim actually has videos of craft coming out of the ocean in Oregon, and just on top of that, Tim is just saying in the chat right now he's researched Bend, Oregon in the past. So yeah, you found the right place.
It's North Bend on the coast.
North
I'm right
Bend,
by
that's
the
fine.
airport.
Yeah.
No, what I have is not just craft. I have the beings. I have everything. I have everything.
Cool.
I'm just telling you.
Sure.
Send it to us.
Yeah, send it, and we'll check it out. We'll get connected and take it from there.
Okay, so heads up. I don't think anything's going to happen to me because I know what's around me. Should Josie disappear, we know where that came from. So I'm putting it out there because I've been watching everybody, and everybody needs to know. And here we go. This is escalating big time.
Excellent. So Josie, just send everything over to Thomas at disclosuretonight.com and Mike at disclosuretonight.com with whatever you have, and we'll take it from there and see what we can do.
I will try to get it out to you. If it doesn't reach you, they are blocking everything.
No, just go ahead and send it via WeTransfer. Let me know, and I'll get the files, and we'll get them. It won't be blocked by Google because the files are too big or anything.
It's called via WeTransfer.
No, it's called WeTransfer, like WeTransfer, one word.com.
Okay, great.
Take your
All right,
documents, your videos, whatever, zip it up into a single zip file, and then send it via WeTransfer, and it'll make it here without a problem.
They're here every night. They're
Cool.
outside. They're here every night. I see them every. Here's the thing: everyone sees them, but they won't let it out of North Bend. They're blocking everybody.
Yeah,
we'll get it out of North Bend. Just send over the information, Josie.
Okay, great. All right, you guys. I'm sorry to the audience. I don't want to scare you.
Oh, you're not.
But
we're good.
We're not scared.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. God bless everyone.
Yeah, as we go ahead and round out tonight's show, Mike, what a great show, huh?
Oh, really? Interesting. A lot of good conversation.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of interesting people that came forward. Yeah, no, this was outstanding tonight.
Yeah. Oh, more than anything, my friend. On that note, I want to go ahead and thank people for your wonderful super chats today. We got one from Kane Northrup, and then we had 3 more coming from Ashley Kennedy, I believe, who's in the back. Not once, but twice and 3 times. Thank you very much, Ashley. We appreciate your love and support for everything we do here on Disclosure tonight. Wow, what a great show. We're running a little bit late. I want to thank everybody from coming in the chat, and I want to thank everybody from coming in the back. And Mike, we appreciate you taking your time out of your family's Saturday.
Yes,
to be here.
It's quite a right. But I don't have to tell you, with your family and your pets, that there's a lot of juggling that you and I both do for the show. So that's how it is sometimes. But that's okay. We made it work.
Yep.
It was good. It was fun. Got a lot of information out there.
Yep. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everyone. But
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll see you Monday, folks. I'll come back now here. Take care. Bye-bye.